Back with another torch review. This time it's the latest model from Olight, the X7R Marauder. Now I didn't have a chance to use the previous model, but this is the latest one out from Olight, so we're going to find out if it's any good and what areas I don't like as well. So looking at the box, just give us an overview of some of the specs with that headline 12,000 lumens feature. Notice the batteries are built into this torch and you have 4 of them. On the back of the box, this will list out some more of the features and spec. There are quite a few differences evidently compared to the previous model. I had a look at the information on that, so they've added quite a lot, including a charging port, an extra power mode. You have your run times listed out on the back. Opening up the box, very nice presentation with this. Take the torch out. It's quite a compact torch. It's one of those what they call soda can style torches. In other words, short and stubby with a wide girth, but a high power output. We have the accessories in the front compartment here, including the user manual. We'll have a look at those in a bit more detail. This is the cable. It's a USB Type-C, about 80 centimeters in length. And we also get a beefed up wrist strap, different to the other Olight ones. It still has the adjuster, but you can see it's wrapped around there and it's much thicker, hence better suited to a heavier, larger torch. And this is the included power supply. I have the UK version. You see the USB port there, and it goes up to 4 amps. This is a fast charger. I'm going to test a few chargers later on with the torch. Included holster, very nice quality. You'll see that it's open at the bottom there to allow it to expand out when you put the torch in. You have the D-ring, Velcro on the back, and that blue stitching can be removed to make the belt loop section a bit larger. Putting the torch into the holster. Turn it around, you see it expands out. Nice fit on this. It's the kind of torch that I think does benefit from a holster, even if you're not into them that much, purely because it's a bit heavier and you might want to carry it around. Gives it a bit of protection as well. Now looking at the torch, as you would expect from Olight, the build quality is excellent. You have to peel off the protective film on the front of the lens. We'll have a look at the LEDs now. We have 3 of them. XHP70. This is available just in the cool white, and you'll see there's a small hole there. That is a sensor, a proximity sensor. They've redesigned the switch as well. You can see there it's just recessed from the body, and it also has a LED under there as well. That's a silicone button on that, not a hard plastic. And this is a new addition. You just pull this out, the same colour as the rest, the blue, and you can attach the wrist strap to that. It's quite a big hole, so you'll be able to put the larger diameter strap through there, or even use your own paracord, something like that. Now this part's quite nice too. They've sculpted the back so that your fingers wrap around and get a natural position on the torch. You also see that the head has some anti-roll design to it as well. Although it will roll a bit, it will stop at those points, so that's a nice little touch that they've done. Onto the bottom, you'll see the arrows indicating to twist, and it reveals the USB Type-C port. Now, I'm glad they went with this because it gives it quicker charging and it's more durable than the micro USB. You can see there's friction when you're pulling that back, and around the port is silicone. It's slightly raised as well, so that's where the water resistant seal comes in. The holes at the bottom are evidently for drainage, so if any water gets in around the cap, it can drain out of the holes there. We shall have a little look at that, but you'll see that it's not easily accessed. These look like triangular, and they're not hex key shape. I haven't got any at hand, but it is sealed up. There's no easy access on this. As far as the fit and finish and feel in the hand, very nice torch. And we'll run through some of the operation. It's pretty much standard for an Olight, single press on and off. Then you can push and hold and release to go through the power levels. You have access to the 3 main ones and a mode memory for those. Now if you want to go into the lowest power output, which is 10 lumens, you just push and hold and it goes into that. And then you can go back to the normal power levels. If you want to go to the 2 turbo modes, double press and then double press again, then you use the double press to cycle through the 2 turbo modes, so you can go up and down from those. A single click will go back to the normal power outputs. To get into the lockout mode, push and hold, and you'll see you have the momentary on as well. I like the interface on this. I think it's quite logical. It's in line with other Olight torches. I might have added an extra power level to the 3 main ones, but you have a pretty good range from that. And onto the strobe. Triple press, any mode will get you to the strobe. Single strobe on this. Now I'm just comparing it to the Intimidator 2, the Mini, and I quite liked that torch. It's a bit smaller. They're pretty similar in length. It doesn't have the run times that the newer torch does, the X7R, but it's quite a compact, powerful little torch. I wouldn't mind if they did an update on that model. I get on with that quite well. We'll just look at the weight now. As you can see, there is a bit of heft on this. As you would expect, the 4 batteries built in, and if you prefer Imperial, I've just brought that up on the scales for you as well. Now look at the proximity sensor. It seems to kick in at around about 20 to 25 centimeters and less. So that's the maximum distance. Anything closer, that will kick in, drop the power level down. So that's a safety feature so that you don't burn through perhaps a backpack, because this puts out quite a lot of heat, or it can do, at least in the turbo mode. The top turbo setting is the one that really heats the torch up. You'll see that the temperatures get up into the 50s on the head and into the mid to low 40s on the body, but the temperature regulation is very good on this torch. I personally haven't had any discomfort issues with it because it will actually ramp itself down, but in colder weather, it's summer at the minute, this should be even more usable. You'll probably get slightly longer run times in the highest output modes because the environment will be cooling the head much more so than it does during the summer months. It's pretty much on the limit for what they can do regards to size and power without making the torch uncomfortable to hold. This is a quick look at the anti-roll feature. Now it does roll for a bit, but it stops after a while. These are the sort of areas which are actually quite easy for some makers to miss. Sometimes they don't bother putting them on, and it's the kind of thing which is quite handy to have. Even if it's not something which you use all the time, there are times when you would put a torch down and you'll need to face the light. Quick skim through the user manual. Won't spend too long on this because it basically repeats the spec that we've got, but you can see that the power levels we have are 6. The lowest level is 10 at the Moonlight, and I'm glad that they put that in, but it does give a bit of a gap between that and the next power level, which is low. And look at the run times are quite long on that, especially for the low, and also you get decent runtime off of the normal turbo mode because it's not heating the head as much. You get about 12 minutes out of that. This just goes through the basic operation and charging, and I've just showed you the functions, how to get into those, and this essentially repeats that. So you have the direct access to strobe and turbo and the mode memory. Don't think there's too much more they could have done on the interface with that, and it's pretty consistent with the other Olight torches that I've used. This is the warranty. I assume the warranty covers the batteries for a year. I'm not sure on that. I will check and find out. Now the water resistance test, make sure that you close up the port. That doesn't move easily when it's closed as well. The friction on that keeps that shut. And I put this in a bucket of water for half an hour like I have done with all the other torches that I've had, or recent ones. I've had one fail this test, and if one does fail the test, it indicates that there's a quality control problem. Now once I've taken the torch out, it's still operating fine, there's no problems with it, but you'll see water coming out of those drain holes. You see a bit there. Olight told me that those holes are there specifically to drain water out, but I didn't put too much effort into it, and just opened up the port cover, and you can see it seems to have done the job, perhaps due to the raised lip around the Type C port, keeping the water out. So it's passed my test. Now the low battery indicator comes on, it starts to glow red, and I'm going to do some charging tests now. Using the standard Olight charger, which is included up to 4 amps it says, and you can operate the torch with this. You'll see that the red light comes on when it's charging and the green comes on when it's finished. Initial charge is slower and then it increases. I got up to around about 3 amps off of this, a little bit higher it went over in the later stages of charging. And that's a big improvement over the micro USB. You just couldn't get to those speeds, but I thought I'd test out a few wall chargers on the USB, and that's in a fast charge port, but it's not specifically for anything like Qualcomm certified. And I was getting decent enough speeds out of that, so I decided to try my smart charger. Again, this isn't Qualcomm certified, it's not specific for smart charging, fast charging and that came out actually slightly better than the Olight did. So you're not necessarily going to have to invest in a separate charger if you lose that one. Olight sent me a picture just showing the batteries inside the torch. They said they're going to make a video showing you how to change those. We'll look out for that. Now it's time for some beam shots and we'll come back with a conclusion.
Stranger traveling through this world of war. There is no sickness, toil nor danger in that bright land to which I go. I'm going to see my mother. I'm going there, no more to roam. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going gather round me, and I know my way is rough and steep, but golden fields stretch out before me, where weary eyes no more will meet. I'm going there to see my father. I'm going there, no more to roam. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going.
Wrapping up with a summary on the X7R Marauder, I'll start off with the drawbacks. The first is that you can't access the battery compartment easily, and that means if you need to exchange the cells, if you've run out, that you can't do that. That's a drawback for me. Also, eventually the cells will wear out, so they will need to be replaced. We'll look out for that video from Olight so we can see how to get in there and change those cells. Evidently it's not quite as easy as it might be. I wouldn't have minded if they put the Type-C port somewhere else, perhaps on the collar, and left the cap so that you could take it off and change the batteries. A couple of other points: would have liked to have had an extra power level indicator for the battery, perhaps if it's under 30% or 25%, just to let you know that you need to top the torch up if you're going to use it for a long period of time. Maybe another power mode between the 10 and 500 lumen mark. On the flip side, very nice build quality, up to the high standards you would expect from one of the top makers. You get extended run times, good ergonomics, very fast charging, the new Type-C connector, and it's a fun torch to use, which might have a practical use for some people as well. So that's my review summary on the Olight, and I hope you found that of some use if you were looking at this torch, to give you a balanced overview of the potential advantages and disadvantages. If so, please subscribe to the channel, and I will catch up with you very shortly in my next video review.